When a company like Amazon cuts 14,000 corporate jobs, it's not just about budgets, it's really about their own corporate alignment. Because in every layoff, y'all, just the reality, there is a lesson in it. I've been through them. I've been through one and I've seen others. And this one is about how quickly the world of work is evolving and what is silently telling the rest of us to do. Hello, everyone. My name is Uche Maple, and welcome to the Women Who Lead Network, where we talk about everything leadership, entrepreneurship, and living a purpose-driven life. So today we're actually talking about Amazon's decision to lay off about 14,000 employees. And while, these headlines often focus on the shock effect, the real story is actually what's happening beneath the surface. In every organization, what is happening beneath the surface? What is happening behind the headlines? And a shift in how a company is redefining their culture, their structure, and what lean and agile truly means. With anything, every last one of us, even in our home, right? You have an operating budget. You're always constantly looking at your budget to see what are things that you can eliminate or reduce. That's not any different. And according to several news outlets, their leadership, Amazon's leadership, has described these layoffs as part of a culture realignment. They didn't say, they shifted the focus away from the AI replacement strategy. Instead, the company is alleging that it simply wants to simplify, reduce layers in the company, and rebuild how teams operate, especially after years of rapid expansion and the post-pandemic restructuring. Companies have multiple layers. Y'all be wondering, how come I can't move up? It may be 55 layers, and I'm over exaggerating, to where you can become senior vice president or, vice or president of an entity in a major company. So sometimes it's not just about, trimming budgets. It's about transforming how work gets done and who's in the best position to lead that transformation. So think about it this way, right? So over the last few years, many companies have built large layers of management. Just an example, processes and approvals to get anything done. And while that worked for a while, until it didn't. So when the world starts changing faster than the workflow, those same layers that once brought order started creating friction. How do you when you need to get something signed and you're like, why is this taking so long? Yeah, something that should take maybe 30 minutes is taking up to 7 days. It's ridiculous. So, and that's what, as an example, when I'm assuming when Amazon's talking about a culture realignment, maybe that's something that they're doing. And other countless organizations are doing that now. Don't be fooled. They are doing that. So the question is how do you move quickly when your structure was built for stability and not speed? Right? So if you have been affected by these layoffs, your mind might be saying I just lost security. I put all in this company and, they've done this to me. But here's something. I want you to think about this in a different way. There's also another voice underneath on that whispers, I just gained more space. Space to evaluate, space to pivot, space to choose what's next instead of waiting for permission. And in a way, we call that a state shift. You're shifting states really from a mental perspective. When you can change the meaning of an event, you change how it impacts you. When you change the meaning of an event, you change how it impacts you. So instead of labeling this moment as a loss, we can look at it as clarity in motion. It may not feel that way, don't get me wrong. But I'm asking you to change how you're looking at it. Because clarity always comes disguised as change. And here's what this moment is really revealing. Companies are no longer rewarding people for filling seats. And when I say that, I mean, yeah, that can be the case where you've always had this role and you need someone to be in this role. And sometimes the company just, and I'm saying the company as in general, hasn't had a chance to do the analysis on whether this role is really essential and where we're headed next. They're rewarding people who create movement. I remember in the company, I was working at a company and we were interviewing people for this leadership role. And we're providing feedback to our leader on who we think were great candidates. And this particular candidate that, people are like, oh, I think this candidate is great. And when they asked my opinion, I said, this isn't the right candidate. And they said, why? And I said, because this candidate is not, this is not the right candidate because they are not in the mindset of where the company is going to next. I believe my leader is the only one that got it when I said that. And that's important. That is relevant. If you want to stay relevant in the new landscape, you really need to pay attention in where your company is headed. So you have to ask yourself, because there are three things if you're trying to figure out, well, where, and I'm really talking about people in the professional roles, what division I'm in and what are they doing? Go to the company website. There's an internal website that should talk about what you guys plan on doing for the next 3 years. And really, they probably have identified where their future is going to be. So you can ask yourself, where am I bringing measurable clarity or impact? What am I doing that's targeting where the company is headed? How am I adapting to how my industry is shifting? How are you adapting? And do I work in a way that makes the system faster or heavier? These questions matter more than any job title ever will. Because corporate alignment isn't just for companies, because alignment isn't just for companies, it's for people too. You can't lead when you can't lead strategically when you're overcommitted in places that drain you. You can't innovate when you're buried in doing things that are not in alignment with where you're trying to go. So maybe this moment, even if it feels uncertain, is your invitation to simplify, to strip away what's excessive, to really reevaluate what you're doing, and to come up and streamline solutions. Because if you can attach yourself to where the company is making money, it positions you to be a person who is part of the culture that where they're going. And to remind yourself that value was never tied to a position. It's actually tied to the impact that you're bringing to the company. So yes, 14,000 jobs are being eliminated. Horrible. But this shift is also making room for something new, for leaner teams, for clear communication, and more intentional leadership. Because when you think about it, what Amazon is doing externally, many of us need to do internally. Because that's how you stay relevant. That's how you stay resilient. And more importantly, that's how you leap next. Thank you. Please continue to watch, listen, and subscribe.